Hello, my lovelies. This is your favorite alienated goddess, and today I am going to be talking about my mixed feelings on the character Dabi from My Hero Academia. So I hope you stick around and just hear what I have to say. Before I get started talking about anything, I just want to say a few things. One, if you hear anything in the background, I'm sorry. It's a fish tank. It's the filter. Two, this will contain manga spoilers, so if you're not caught up with the manga, I'm sorry. And three, this is purely my opinion on why in some cases I just don't really like Dabi. If you like Dabi, I have no problem with that. Continue liking him. You know, that's your opinion, and I'm just stating mine. So, I'm not telling you you can't like him or anything. And with that, I am going to go ahead and proceed on into the video. So, I don't exactly know when I first started seeing him online, but it was, I think, a good while. I don't know when Dabi first came into my small circle of within my radius in my life, or whatever you want to call it. But it was before I started watching My Hero Academia. I'm just seeing this guy and I'm just like, okay. And I don't know where he's from, and I'm not interested at that time finding out where he's from. And I'm the type of person that when I'm bombarded with something, I don't like it. And that's exactly how I felt about Dabi. I didn't like him because he was all up in my face, and I didn't want him to be. It was really annoying. It's like with music, if you hear a song, you might think it's good or it might be a good song, but when you hear it on the radio, every time you get in the car, you're gonna get sick of it. And that's sort of how I was with Dabi. Every time I open YouTube or whatever, I guarantee you I saw somebody making a video about him, or he was in the thumbnail, or just anything, or even fan art of him. And I didn't know where he was from. I wasn't interested, so it was annoying. So I think that's where my feelings of discontent and dislike of Dabi first started. And then I actually started watching My Hero Academia for other reasons that we're not going to touch on today. And I found out who he was, and I'm like, oh, that's who you are. And I still didn't like him. But I'm the type of fan, I'm very much a fangirl. That is going to be, when I really get into something, I'm going to be really active in it. I'm going to read fan fiction, I'm going to have a bunch of fan art that I like. After I got on TikTok and and started looking at TikToks, I'm gonna look at a bunch of TikToks for it. And with that comes more Dabi. And obviously, especially with TikToks and stuff, you can tell that a lot of people, he is a very liked character in My Hero Academia now. He is a very liked character in My Hero Academia. A lot of people simp over him. If you don't know what simping is, it's another way of saying liking a character, but true simping isn't like that, but that's what we call it more nowadays. So, people simp over him, and, they think he's cool, which, I can admit, Dabi is cool. Just the way he wields his quirk It is very cool. That's where the confliction comes in. Cause it's like I did not like Dabi, but I'm like, but he's cool. But he's cool. So that was really annoying. And then it started even more when and then there was even more confliction because even then I'm like, yeah, it may be cool, but there are a bunch of people that are cool and I still don't like them. So, and then the confliction really started when I read a Dabi fan fiction and I was like, darn. Cause what gets me is when there's just really just hard characters or characters that aren't exactly like the nicest, but they're really just like soft and nice for their like significant other. That gets me because I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. Like, gosh. And that's how I felt when I read that fan fiction because it was so soft. I don't know what it's called. I don't think I added it to my library or my archive. So if you want to know what it's called, I don't know. So I'm sorry. I just know it was Dabi fanfiction and it was on Wattpad. That's all I know. It was a Dabi fanfiction. It was an X-reader, and it was on Wattpad. And that's where the confliction really started. But that still wasn't enough for me to really like him. And then because My Hero Academia was on hiatus, I started reading the manga. I'm like, what, whatever. And and I was really, like I said, when I get like really into something, I'm going to be very invested. And that's how I was. Every time a new My Hero Academia chapter came out, I would be reading it. Sometimes I'd be like, did it come out? Did it come out? Did it come out? The next week. And I'd be disappointed because it was supposed to come out at the end of the week or something. It was like the beginning or the middle of the week, and I was like, darn. But you definitely know by the time that day came, I was reading that chapter and I'm like, oh, I can't wait for the next. Because they always left you on a cliffhanger and, obviously. And that's how a lot of stuff do. Because you want to keep the anticipation up, which keeps your audience coming. But anyways, and then in the manga, it is revealed, manga spoilers, that Dabi is actually Toya Todoroki. And I wasn't surprised. Because, there were theories, like, ever since Dabi or Toya appeared, and maybe not in the manga, but in the anime, there were theories and theories and theories that Dabi was Endeavor's son, or when we learned about Toya Todoroki or something, that he was Toya. That he was Endeavor's son. And a lot of people, they even like way before there was more, and people just, there was more evidence supporting it. People just accepted it. They're like, oh yeah, Dabi is Toya. And that's that. And then they just made up their own stuff about what was happening, filling in the pieces, And I think it's funny. I think it is so funny that people are like, oh yeah, he got those scars protecting his siblings, his younger siblings, from Endeavor, because Endeavor is just the worst. When that's not the case at all. Actually, if you're gonna put it that way, like about how Dabi got his scars and Dabi, Toya being a brother and such, he's actually pretty terrible. He's actually a pretty terrible big brother, with the fact that, he tried to, when not even, like, now, like, in the more, like, present of the timeline in Boku no Hero Academia, My Hero Academia, but when they were children, before the story takes place, he tried to kill Shoto. And that's really what got me. I was like, I don't care how you feel about Endeavor. Whether you think he's a bad person or you're like whatever. I don't care how you feel about him. But the fact that you would try and kill your own younger brother who has done nothing wrong, who did not ask for his father's to be his father's quote unquote favorite child. I say that with, air quotations with my fingers, cuz no. No. And didn't ask for that quirk, that you would harm him because of your own pettiness and jealousy. I was like, okay, no. And that was like, okay, yeah, Dabi's cool, but I don't think that's cool. That's not cool at all. I hope that there's nobody who thinks trying to legitimately kill your sibling who is your innocent sibling, or you know what I'm trying to say. Murder is wrong. Murder is wrong. And then just him going after the innocent. Like, I could care less what you try and justify how Dabi is, saying that, oh, well, he can go after Endeavor and he can hate Endeavor because Endeavor's a piece of crap. Yeah, Endeavor is a piece of crap. But the difference between Endeavor and Dabi is that Endeavor is trying to get better. Whether it is for his own, whether it's like him being himself for his own, whether he's actually trying to get better because he wants to, or he's trying to get better because that's what people expect, and he's trying to soften the blow of the public finding out about all his awful deeds, because they were going to find out sooner or later. Whether or not he's doing it because he wants to or because he needs to, and that's what people expect, he's still trying. And I personally think it's genuine because Endeavor, Enji, he just doesn't, from what I have seen in the anime and the manga, he's not going to do something unless he wants to. That's what I can kind of grasp from it. Like, because he stated, if he wanted to be a pro hero that was, number one in like popularity and such, then he would have tried being, all friendly and cordial with the public like All Might. But that's not what he wanted. So he didn't do it. And that's where I'm like, if Endeavor doesn't want to do something, he's not going to do it. So Endeavor wants to get better, so he's trying to get better. Dabi isn't like that. Dabi isn't trying to get better. And I don't think he's doing this because he's trying to get revenge or some sort on how Endeavor treated him as a child, or how Endeavor treated his siblings. Not that he even cares about how Endeavor treated his siblings. He's very selfish about it, which when you're abused like that, and if you're in any kind of situation like that, you can be as selfish as you want. You can be as selfish as you want. Because you deserve it. You're being treated wrongly. So you deserve to demand to be treated better. That's, I'm not trying to say anything about that. But the fact, it's more how people kind of are like, well, oh yeah, he's going to protect his siblings, but he's not. Because he doesn't want to. Because he's just as bad as Endeavor. And people don't, at least I think they don't want to admit that. And that's what gets me annoyed sometimes. And that's just really annoying to me. But it's like, at the same time, he's also, he's just a very petty character. Um, and that annoys me. But I'm also like, he's very petty and he's doing this not because some like moral high ground or whatever. He's doing this purely because he's petty and such. He's jealous of his younger brother that he got daddy's attention, which when you even like beyond the fact that Endeavor was training your kids to be pro heroes or training them with their quirk and such. Besides the fact that Endeavor was training Shoto, when you have a kid and then you have another kid, your younger child just out of necessity is gonna get more attention. So yeah, and the fact that he just also kind of failed to realize that though Endeavor is at fault because he did not make it clear that it wasn't the fact that he didn't want to train Toya anymore because he had Shoto and he wanted Shoto's quirk in the first place and Toya didn't have Shoto's quirk. It wasn't about that. It was about the fact that Toya's quirk was physically harming him and he didn't want his child to in danger. He just didn't get that. And he's a child. That's not his fault. Endeavor, Engie should have sat him down and explained that. And literally, as she said in the manga, Rei is at fault for the way Toya ended up too, because she just stood by and let it happen. And you can fight me on that. I don't care. And I know somebody is gonna come along and be like, it is not Rei's fault. She was mentally torn apart because of what Engie did. No, she was not at that time. I imagine their tension started around that time, but I imagine she wasn't so mentally torn apart at that point to where she could not help out her own child. Cause from what I can infer is that the tension and the real like abuse, like just straight up, just like the hardcore abuse. Not that any type of abuse is okay, but when it really started heating up is around the time that Toya started disobeying them and using his quirk when they asked him not to, and after he quote unquote died. That's when I imagine that things were really going down the drain with their family dynamic. But that's beyond the point, and that's not important to this video. But he's just really petty, and I just don't like that. Like, there's petty that I like because it's funny, and then there's petty I don't like because it's putting people in danger. And Dabi is, unfortunately, the latter. He's petty, putting people in danger. Like, people who are associated, innocent people who are associated with Endeavor, not knowing, like, what he did to his family and saying nothing about it. Like, not that kind of association, but just, I don't even think, like, working at his agency. I think, they were innocent people. That's literally, he said, I killed 30 innocent people. And people are like, oh, Dabi's so cool. And I'm just like, no. And that's where the confliction really comes. Because it's like, yeah, Dabi is a cool character. But there are also a bunch of qualities about him and stuff that he does that make me not like him. And he's not that make him a character that I can't fully enjoy. And that's kind of what you want. Like, I love to hate him and I hate to love him. That's what you want in a villain. But it's also like, as from a writing standpoint, all of that makes him a really, at least in my point of view, that makes him a well-written character. And that gets on my nerves even more. Because it's like, oh my god, I hate that he does this. But he's such a well-written villain, and it just frustrates me. And I'm not gonna say anymore because I think if I touch on any more, then it is going into more comparing him to other characters, which I have already started. Because I can go on a whole tangent on why why I don't like him through a popularity standpoint when we literally know nothing about him, which he's a villain. He's allowed to be mysterious. And whatever. But actually I am going to go on this. Never mind. I am going to go on this tangent. So, another thing I don't like about Dabi is the fact that this is more of like from a writing standpoint, because from a writing standpoint, do I think he is a well-written villain? Yes, but at the same time, no. Like, and this is not why I hate Dabi. This is why it's my conflicting feelings, my mixed feelings on Dabi. Because, I hate him and I like him. I think he's a good written villain, and I think he's sort of a bad written villain. Because we don't have any motive for him. We don't have any motive on why he is this way, for the most part. And you can say, oh, it's what happened to his child, but why? But why? Because, his other two siblings who were treated like almost the same way, Natsuo or Natsu, whatever translation you see, I see Natsuo, I say Natsuo, and Fuyumi, they, got a similar treatment, not the same, because nobody's abuse is the same, but similar, and they didn't turn out that way. We just have no motive for why he is this way, and it frustrates me, because it's like, why are you doing all this if you don't even have a reason? And that's frustrating to me, especially from a writing standpoint, because I'm like, okay, whatever. Even if I hate him more, like, as a person, he can be a good villain, but it's like, I don't even know why he's a villain for the most part, and that's frustrating. And now we're gonna close it off here, because now I can really go into comparing him to other people, and we're not gonna do that. So I hope you like this video, and I hope you comment. If you like Dabi, comment down below why, and not besides thinking that he's like an attractive character, like he's hot. If you like him for another reason besides he's hot or he's cool, please comment down below why. If you want more videos like this on like my mixed feelings about characters, because I have plenty, please comment down below. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.